Get ready, WNBA fans, because the season just delivered one of its most electrifying finales yet. As the curtains close on this year's action-packed games, Phoenix Mercury's standout Sophie Cunningham, teammate of the legendary Diana Taurasi, has sparked intense conversations with her bold comments about Caitlin Clark that have everyone buzzing. But that's only scratching the surface. Caitlin Clark didn't just shine this season. She redefined what's possible on the court. From shattered records and jaw-dropping plays to leading the Indiana Fever through an unexpected transformation, her impact was undeniable. And here's the twist. Some of the league's seasoned veterans are feeling the heat. Yes, you heard right. This rising star made such waves that it stirred the egos of established stars. Stay tuned as we break down all the highlights and dive into Cunningham's remarks that have everyone talking. In a recent interview, Sophie shared this eye-opening insight about Caitlin Clark.
But I think they've done a great job in the league as well. I think the physicality and all that they're going to get used to, but I think especially Caitlin Clark, she's been killing it. And I'm a huge fan, and I never say that, but I think it's fun what she's doing.
Can you believe what's unfolding in the WNBA? A seasoned teammate of the legendary Diana Taurasi is openly lauding a rookie, and that's a rare sight in the league. Sophie Cunningham isn't stopping there. She went on to say, "When it comes to viewership, man, I think a lot of people have a lot to learn about our league. But I think that's a really fun thing. If you have anything negative to say about the viewership and everything this rookie class is doing, I just think you're not capitalizing on it and you might be a little jealous." Sophie just unleashed a bombshell against anyone criticizing Caitlin Clark's success and her fellow rookies. Essentially, she's arguing that if you're not thrilled about the league's growth, the issue lies with you. But why is Sophie, an established player, so passionately defending Caitlin Clark and the new rookies? The answer is straightforward: impact. Clark isn't just excelling on the court, she's reshaping the perception of the WNBA. Since her debut, viewership has surged. Stadiums that once had empty seats are now buzzing with fans. People aren't just tuning in to Indiana Fever games. They're buying tickets, jerseys, and buzzing about the WNBA on social media like never before. And here's the kicker. Clark is achieving all this as a rookie. She didn't need years to adapt or build a fan base. She arrived and is already a force to be reckoned with. That's why Sophie and other insightful players recognize that Clark's success translates to the WNBA's success as a whole. But Clark's influence goes beyond scoring. She's redefining the point guard role in the WNBA. Her assists are masterpieces. She spots angles that others miss and delivers passes that leave commentators in awe. The craziest part? She's doing all this while facing defenses specifically designed to stop her. Entire teams have had to rethink their strategies just to contain Caitlin Clark, yet she continues to dominate. This is why veterans like Sophie Cunningham are so impressed. Clark isn't just playing well, she's changing the game, forcing teams and players to adapt and elevate the entire league. Now, let's dive into what Cunningham mentioned that's stirring up the league: the jealousy and criticism targeting Caitlin Clark. It sounds unbelievable, right? A rookie shaking up the league to the point of making veterans envious? But that's the reality. Some players and fans are complaining about the spotlight Clark is stealing, claiming it overshadows more experienced players. But let's be honest, this is pure jealousy. As Sophie Cunningham aptly pointed out, those who gripe about Clark's visibility aren't capitalizing on it and might just be a little envious. And she's spot on. Clark's success doesn't take away from any other player's value. In fact, increased attention benefits everyone in the WNBA. More fans mean more revenue, which can lead to higher salaries, better playing conditions, and more opportunities for all players. Clark is expanding the league's market, attracting new fans who might never have watched a WNBA game before. Once hooked, These fans aren't just following Clark, they're discovering all the incredible talent the league has to offer. That's why savvy players like Cunningham are embracing the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. They understand that a rising tide lifts all boats. Clark's triumphs are the WNBA's triumphs. And let's face it, Clark deserves all the hype. She's not just racking up numbers, she's redefining what's possible in women's basketball. Her passes, court vision, and scoring ability are at a level rarely seen from a rookie. So to those feeling jealous or critical, here's some advice. Instead of complaining, ride the wave. Use this surge in attention to showcase your own talents. Because what Caitlin Clark is doing is opening doors for all WNBA players. Moreover, Clark's impact on the WNBA's popularity is likely to keep rising. We're already witnessing a significant boost in viewership and fan engagement. If this trend continues, we could be on the verge of a new golden era for professional women's basketball, leading to more investments in the league, better contracts for players, increased media coverage, and possibly even expansion to new cities. The possibilities are endless. Additionally, Clark is inspiring the next generation. How many young athletes are watching her now, dreaming of becoming the next Caitlin Clark? She's fueling a new wave of talent that will only strengthen the WNBA further. Finally, let's consider Clark's legacy. If she maintains this trajectory, we're not just talking about a great player. We could be witnessing the rise of one of the greatest of all time. She has the potential to be to the WNBA what legends like Michael Jordan and LeBron James are to the NBA. However, it's not all smooth sailing. As Clark continues to dominate and draw attention, the pressure mounts. Expectations are sky high. She set a tremendous standard in her rookie season, and everyone expects her to surpass it every game. What happens if she has a bad night or goes through a scoring slump? Critics will be quick to pounce. Then there's the physical toll. The WNBA season is long and demanding, especially for a rookie. Clark is logging more minutes, facing tougher defenses, and traveling extensively. Can she maintain this level of performance through the season and into the playoffs? And let's not overlook the mental strain. With every move scrutinized and every word analyzed, the pressure is immense. Will she be able to stay focused and continue performing at an elite level? So, what do you think? Will Caitlin Clark keep dominating and break all the records we've discussed? Or will other teams find a way to challenge her? And what are your thoughts on Sophie Cunningham's comments? Do you agree that the criticism Clark is facing stems from jealousy? Or do you believe there are legitimate concerns?
Her, Kelsey, and Aaliyah, Boston, they had something special the second half of the season, and I just look at them as a young, hungry team. Our veteran president with DeWanna Bonner, Natasha, and me coming from winning programs who have been around the league for a long time and can help infuse something in that team that can take them far in the playoffs, bruh.
Sydney Colson just dropped the bombshell on why she made the jump from the Aces to the Indiana Fever. And spoiler alert, it wasn't for the cornfields. Was it Caitlin Clark's insane three-point range? A covert operation to add some comedy to the Midwest? Or maybe just an elite-level prank? One thing's for sure, Colson never does anything without leaving a little humor in her wake.
So Sydney Colson is obviously a player for the Indiana Fever. Someone signed to be Caitlin Clark's backup, and she is I think she's going to be a solid player.
Sydney Colson finally spilled the tea on her move to the Indiana Fever, and let's just say, she didn't hold anything back. This wasn't some dull, "I'm excited for a new opportunity" speech. Nah, Colson came through with the kind of energy you'd expect from someone who's been itching to drop the details, ready to break it all down like a hyper-excited sports analyst with a comedy degree. The biggest takeaway? The Fever's glow-up is about to be straight-up terrifying.
Championship experience is a whole new thing. And then coming off the bench, backing up Caitlin Clark, helping her with little things, just the knowledge that she's going to be able to give Caitlin Clark is going to be absolutely fantastic. But why did she leave the Aces? Well, if you see some of these stats and some of this information I'm going to put out, you can be like, you're going to understand why it was time for her to go.
Now, if you blinked last season, you might have totally missed the Fever's wild turnaround. They kicked things off looking like they were just happy to be invited to the party, tripping over their own feet, spilling drinks, and forgetting defense even existed. But somewhere along the way, they decided to stop embarrassing themselves and actually play some basketball. The second half of the season, a completely different vibe. They went from, oh, bless their hearts, to, wait, are they actually good? And trust me, Colson was paying attention.
It was only a matter of time before Sydney Colson got to rubbing her hands together like Birdman to tell it all, dog. And that's exactly what she did in a recent interview. Now, we know Sydney Colson came over to the Fever from the Las Vegas Aces.
According to Colson, that comeback wasn't just a fluke. It was a warning shot. The Fever figured things out late last season, and now, with Caitlin Clark in the mix, yeah, Colson didn't hold back. This team is about to be downright terrifying. Like, hide your favorite team's playoff dreams terrifying. Like, we're taking receipts terrifying. And Colson? She was all in on the chaos.
Sydney reveal, I am very excited for this new opportunity with Indiana. I know several players and coaches from the Fever, and I trust what I know about them, Colson said. I'm excited to be a part of the vision that the staff has for this team, and I'm ready to get to work.
Let's be real, she could have stuck with the Aces, where winning feels like a given at this point. But where's the fun in that? That's like playing a video game on easy mode. Colson wanted the challenge, the drama, the chance to be part of something on the rise, not something that's already been built. The Fever weren't offering her a seat on a championship train. They handed her a hammer and said, "Help us finish this." And honestly, that makes perfect sense. If there's anyone who thrives on being underestimated, it's Sydney Colson. The woman spent years proving she's not just a locker room presence or a social media star, but a legit hooper who can make a difference on the court. Now, she's got the chance to do it with a team that's hungry, scrappy, and, if you ask her, absolutely ready.
She said it's a much easier transition now they have a year under belts together, which would be scary. I'll be interested to be up close and personal with Caitlin and see what it's like day to day. And yeah, like that's the thing where it's like, this team goes where Caitlin goes. Like, I think everyone kind of knows that, where it's like, even last year with the team, when Caitlin didn't play well, they only beat the dream.
Colson isn't done yet. While Caitlin Clark gets the spotlight, Colson reminds everyone this isn't a one-woman show. The Fever already have young stars like Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and Alyssa Smith. And now they've added even more talent. This team is different, she says, confidently predicting their future success. How? They're done being the should-win team. The Fever are entering this season with a villainous edge, ready to prove they should have been taken seriously before. Colson's bold attitude, humor, and charisma make her the perfect fit for a squad with something to prove. She'll talk, stir things up, and back it up.
It was just an exciting opportunity. My time with the Aces was wonderful, and we created history in a lot of ways. And they'll always be my Aces family, and I'll miss those fans and everything. But I felt God was leading me in another direction. And sometimes stuff can feel uncomfortable, but you not necessarily feeling like you're ready to take a step back. But I think that's usually when you need to. So that was what I needed to do. Now that was Sydney Colson, man.
Sydney Colson didn't just join the Fever. She's all in on the chaos. The underdog story is about to become a nightmare for the league, and if you're not paying attention yet, you will soon. Colson keeps cranking it up, talking smack and backing it up. This time, she's got a lot to say about Caitlin Clark, the Fever's veteran moves, and how they're setting Clark up to become a league-wide nightmare.
They went up and snatched Sid Colson from the Aces. She is 100% vibes. She is 100% going to be a backup for Caitlin. It's going to be fantastic. Backup for Kelsey. Like, she is a great addition to this backcourt. She has senior leadership. She has championship experience. She is the most fun ever.
Caitlin Clark enters the WNBA with huge expectations, but Colson isn't worried. She made it clear that Clark won't be alone in this. The WNBA is tougher than college, and no one's giving Clark an easy ride. Colson emphasized that having experienced players around Clark is key, and they're not just guiding her, they're changing the culture. While the Fever showed promise last season, this year, with veteran leadership, they're ready to win and push the young players beyond just improvement.
Hopefully y'all remember how fantastic Sydney Colson was in the 2023 WNBA Finals. That's what Sydney Colson can offer. Yes, Sydney Colson did not play a lot of minutes with the Aces, but she could have. The thing that I love about Sydney Colson is that she's all fun and games. She's all silly. She's all enjoying her time. She's a boatload of fun. That is the life of the party right there. But when it comes to playing, when it comes to locking in and getting all set for the game, Sydney Colson's all business. Yeah, she could be silly and whatnot, but when she step on that court, she's business, right? Inside those lines, she is all about her goal, which her goal is to play some really good defense and take care of the ball. And that's what she does. And that's exactly why the Indiana Fever has signed Sydney Colson. Because yes, she is a great locker room fit, but also when you talk about someone who can play defense, that's something that the Indiana...
Caitlin Clark will be great, but she'll be even better with her squad, including Colson, who doesn't downplay her own greatness. Colson's part of a Fever team stacking weapons and building confidence, ready to make noise in the WNBA. Aces fans, however, weren't happy when Colson signed with the Fever. Aces Twitter exploded with words like betrayal as the Fever kept adding talent, turning a rebuild into a full-on takeover mission. Aces fans were not handling it well.
The Fever better get a ring with this because Sydney Colson is a two-time WNBA champion, a true vet, an amazing backup point guard. And anytime that CC or any of the guards need to go to the bench, Sydney Colson always makes the right call, always makes the right decision.
A'ja Wilson tried to keep it together, but after a season of poor team chemistry, she admitted, "We didn't play our best." The real shock came when she said, "We had some things going on," hinting at locker room issues. With Colson leaving soon after, fans quickly connected the dots, and the drama unfolded. Was Colson the problem, or did she just leave at the right time? Theories are flying. Some say the Aces were already falling apart, and Colson made her exit perfectly. Others believe she was the glue holding the team together. Either way, the Aces were spiraling, and Vegas fans weren't happy. Meanwhile, Fever fans were watching, and Colson? She was in Indiana, likely enjoying the chaos, knowing she always lands on her feet.
I feel like I'm getting hammered.
Last season, Caitlin Clark faced cheap shots, constant hacking, and defenders who thought they could muscle their way into shutting her down. Well, guess what? That chapter is officially closed. The Indiana Fever have loaded up with not one, not two, but 3 enforcers who won't stand for any of that nonsense anymore.
So the Indiana Fever have got their enforcer. They have got their enforcer for Caitlin Clark. And I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to Caitlin Clark and their enforcer, last year everyone was talking about them needing an enforcer.
Enter Howard, Cunningham, and Bonner, veterans with attitude. If critics think they can bully Clark, they'll have to get past them first.
The closest thing they had was Erica Wheeler. That was the closest thing they had for someone to defend Caitlin Clark was Erica freaking Wheeler. Maybe Tammy, but Caitlin Clark was getting hit a lot. She was getting hit a lot early, and they needed their Charles Oakley.
This move isn't just about talent, it's a statement. The Fever aren't here to compete. They're here to dominate. With these new additions, they've built a squad that plays fast, tough, and, most importantly, protects Clark. Her bullies? On notice? So how will these three transform the Fever into a WNBA powerhouse?
Sometimes you need one of those players on your team. You need one of those enforcers. Every good player, by the way. Every good player, every good team that is a super duper star. Most of the time have enforcer type players.
Picture this. Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's most electrifying rookie, steps onto the court for her debut. Fans are buzzing, expecting a show. Instead, hard fouls, excessive contact, and physicality that seemed aimed at taking her down. What's going on here?
That's all I see. They try so long to get respect for women's basketball, and then they treat it like a junior high school girl's locker room. Junior high school girl antics on the court.
Clark wasn't just a rookie. She was targeted, with 17% of all flagrant fouls last season against her, proving defenders weren't just playing defense. They were trying to take her down.
Now, what little girl wants to grow up and play in a league where you're targeted like that? How do you sit here and profess and demand that everyone take women's sports seriously when you can't even take it seriously enough to not act like a junior high queen on the court? It looks like a soap opera.
And leading the charge? The Chicago Sky. A shocking 80% of those flagrant fouls came from one team. That's no coincidence. It's a statement. They weren't just defending, they were sending a message. Was it intimidation, frustration, or just a desperate attempt to slow a rising star? Whatever the reason, Clark's presence clearly made them uncomfortable.
Clark! Hammer!
Clark drives, Reese floors her. Silence. Was it too much? Commentators wondered, but Clark shook it off and kept playing.
I think we went up really strong a lot of times and we didn't get a lot of calls. And going back and looking at the film, I've seen a lot of calls that weren't made. I guess some people got a special whistle.
That's what makes Clark special. Her composure. After a cheap shot from Kennedy Carter, she simply said, "That's not a basketball play, but gotta play through it." No complaints, no retaliation, just pure mental toughness.
And Clark. I mean, that's clearly a foul, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
Clark proved she could take the hits, but the Fever knew she needed protection. So they made moves, big ones. With some serious enforcers now on the roster, no one's bullying Clark anymore. Who are they? And how will they change the Fever's dynamic?
The signing of Natasha Howard represents a massive step forward for the Indiana Fever and their quest for a championship. In Howard, the Fever gain a three-time WNBA champion, a Defensive Player of the Year, an All-Star, and a veteran with more than 300 games played.
Natasha Howard isn't just an addition, she's the enforcer the Fever needed. From day one, the message was clear. Clark's no longer an easy target. A three-time champ, former Defensive Player of the Year, Howard's toughness will end the days of Clark getting bullied.
But all of that, and we haven't yet touched upon what Howard does best: defend. Howard was named Defensive Player of the Year in 2019 and has finished in the top 10 of the Defensive Player of the Year voting 3 times in her career. Howard has averaged at least 1 block and 1 steal per game in each of her last 7 seasons. And that versatility is really what makes her a weapon on defense.
Last season, Clark faced nonstop physicality, but now defenders will think twice. Howard alone shifts the power dynamic. She commands respect next to Clark, and with her elite stats, 17.6 points, 6.7 rebounds, and a 3-point threat, she'll create more space for Clark, Mitchell, and Boston.
Last season, with a minimum of 25 games played, Natasha Howard was one of just 13 players to average 18 points per game. She was one of 16 players to average 7 rebounds per game. And the list of players to average both 18 and 7 last year, short and elite: Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, Brittany Griner, and yes, Natasha Howard.
Howard's defense is where she truly dominates. A former Defensive Player of the Year, she's a nightmare in the paint.
But that wingspan and 6'2" height allows her to be disruptive defensively around the rim on opposing bigs too. In fact, Howard will enter the 2025 season 25th all-time in blocks in WNBA history.
Howard's ready to elevate Clark in the Fever, bringing her experience and toughness to help them dominate, not just fight back.
Caitlin Clark was getting hit a lot. She was getting hit a lot early, and they needed their Charles Oakley. You've got that in Sophie Cunningham.
Sophie Cunningham is heading to Indiana, making the WNBA even more exciting. If Clark needed someone to keep the bullies in check and hit threes, she's got her.
There are so many videos of Sophie Cunningham just starting brawls.
Some might ask, Cunningham? Wasn't she bringing Clark to Phoenix? Clark had other plans, ensuring Cunningham joined her in Indiana.
Sophie Cunningham, in general, is just wild. Wild is the best word I can use to describe Sophie Cunningham. And it's carnage. It's carnage a lot of the time when Sophie Cunningham gets involved with anything. The amount of fights that Sophie Cunningham has been involved in is mental.
Cunningham is a perfect fit for Indiana. She's not just tough, she's an elite shooter, hitting 37.8% from deep last season. With Clark running the offense, that number will rise.
If she hits a three, Maisha Hines-Allen fouls her and then tries to step over, and then Sophie Cunningham grabs her leg. Nobody's going near Maisha Hines-Allen, but no, Sophie Cunningham will start the fight. The refs are trying to break it up. None of the Mercury players are gonna go near Maisha Hines-Allen. They're scared. She's scared of bejesus out of them. Maisha Hines-Allen is one of the toughest players in this league. Sophie Cunningham going head to head straight with her.
Cunningham brings more than shooting. She's got an edge. She plays through contact, talks trash, and backs it up. Plus, she's a Taekwondo black belt.
Like Sophie Cunningham, there are so many things where it's like, part of it her fault, part of it not her fault, but she will not back down. She will not back down under any circumstances from anything. And that is what the Indiana Fever need. If somebody hits Caitlin Clark, if somebody does what Victoria Vivians did to Caitlin Clark, it's not going to be Caitlin Clark that's getting involved to be teed up. Sophie Cunningham's in there. You take the technical foul. You take it.
Cunningham adds versatility to the Fever's lineup as a wing who can shoot, defend, and provide leadership, averaging 8.4 points, 3.9 rebounds, and 2.0 assists last season.
Like Sophie Cunningham is guarding the screen here, and she just takes a hard hit, nothing major, so she's down, and then after taking a hard hit, just gets back up and laughs. Gets back up and laughs a bit.
Cunningham thrives in high-pressure moments, bringing toughness, experience, and fearlessness. Whether it's hitting a clutch three, locking down a guard, or stepping up when things get chippy.
She takes the hard hit and goes down, obviously, gets back up and just laughs. Like, that's a legitimate thing where you're like, okay, yeah, this is a person who is just, like, there is a toughness there with Sophie Cunningham. And, like, she's not scared.
Cunningham's presence ensures defenses can't collapse on Clark and Boston, as her perimeter shooting ability forces teams to think twice about doubling Clark, making the Fever's offense even more dangerous.
So, yeah, like, a solid signing for what she does on the floor. But, like, the protecting Caitlin Clark type thing.
The big question is how Cunningham's aggressive style will mesh with Clark's finesse. But one thing's for sure, Indiana just got a lot tougher, and the rest of the WNBA better take notice.
She's just a smart player. You already see what she's done in her rookie season, and I think she gets the ball to people in the right positions to help them be successful, so that's huge. And I'm hoping that I can give her a little bit more leadership and knowledge for her to understand this league a little bit better. And like I said, when playoffs hit, she'll be ready.
DeWanna Bonner isn't just joining the Fever. She's here to reshape their culture and bring championship experience, making it clear Indiana is ready to win now.
Our first game in Indiana, we gotta get a win.
Bonner's addition turns the Fever from an exciting young team into a championship contender, adding elite defense, clutch scoring, and floor spacing alongside Boston, Clark, Mitchell, and Cunningham.
What excites you the most about this team that you're going to be joining?
I mean, they have dynamic pieces in CC and Kelsey Mitchell and AB, Lexi Hall. I mean, they have a great core, so why not just add to that and try to, take us to the next level in the playoffs. They were in first round, and I played against them in the first round, and the way they came back the second game, it just makes you excited to, okay, I want to be a part of that. They didn't lay down and quit. They came back and actually try to beat us really, that next game.
Bonner's not just a skilled player. She's a true leader, elevating Clark, Boston, and Mitchell by studying their game and maximizing their strengths.
Like I said, hopefully I can make her job a little easier and she can make mine a little easier. But I think she's a great person, and we, been kind of connecting here. We had a great workout this morning, and it was fun. She's a fun kid.
Bonner sees something special in Clark's competitive fire and is ready to guide her towards superstardom, using her experience to push Clark to new heights.
Kind of went on this crazy run, and they were the most well-gelled team at that time. They went from the bottom straight, and they just kept trending. And it was like one of those teams you're like, man, you don't want to really see them in the playoffs. So we got the matchup, and I think our experience helped us very well. But that second game, they came out, and it was like, they just kind of went on this trajectory that was just like on the rise, and it was literally fever on the rise during right after that All-Star. So that's exciting. That's exciting for me to see, and that kind of helped me with my decision.
Last season, the Fever lacked experience, but Bonner brings postseason know-how, leadership, and the ability to close games, all while elevating Clark to new heights.
That experience to a young, maturing team, what can you provide?
I'm hoping that I can provide a little bit of leadership, but I feel like they're a team that last year helped them a lot and understand the dynamics of playoffs. It's a whole different ball game when playoffs come, and I feel like they're a young team, but they're a good team, and hopefully I can just provide the knowledge and explain playoffs to them a little bit better so we can be better prepared and don't get punched in the face the first game. And it's hard to come back when you do that the first game. It's hard to come back and try to win 2 straight against a veteran team. So I think they got it.
What does Bonner's arrival mean for Indiana? Everything. Her playoff experience and championship mindset are the missing pieces for a team on the rise. This isn't just a veteran signing. It's a statement that the Fever are done waiting. The future is now. With Bonner, Clark, Boston, and Mitchell, this team isn't just fun to watch, it's a contender. Are you ready for the Indiana Fever show? It's coming fast.
Caitlin Clark is going to spend all of next season playing in NBA arenas. We've got rival fans being furious that, Caitlin Clark is that she's getting new arenas, getting moved to new arenas. You've got people saying that they're pushing the Fever. Why are they pushing the Fever?
Caitlin Clark isn't just making waves, she's flooding the league. WNBA franchises are practically abandoning their home courts like they've been hit with a fire alarm that says, Caitlin's coming. Teams like Atlanta, Chicago, Connecticut, Dallas, Las Vegas, and Washington, D.C. are all scrambling to larger venues just to handle the Clark impact. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is probably doom-scrolling, wondering why her name isn't splashed across those massive billboards.
One thing is very clear. The Indiana Fever is America's team. And boy, the haters, by the time this season is over, their heads are going to have exploded already. They're going to be so angry by the end of this WNBA season. I mean, it's going to be hilarious watching the daily meltdown.
Take a moment to absorb this. WNBA teams are willingly leaving behind their cherished home courts to make room for one rookie phenom. This isn't hype. This is history in the making. 6 different franchises are moving their games to NBA arenas, meaning every Indiana Fever road game is now played in a venue with at least 15,000 seats. This isn't about following a trend. It's because Caitlin Clark has the kind of draw that fills arenas like no one else in the league. While some teams are still playing in what feel like converted gymnasiums, Caitlin's impact demands NBA-level venues. That's the kind of territory reserved for superstars.
That there are 6 WNBA teams that have moved their games to NBA or NBA size arenas.
Let's not kid ourselves. These aren't just slightly larger gymnasiums. These are full-blown arena upgrades. The Atlanta Dream are stepping up to the State Farm Arena. The Chicago Sky, yes, the same team that once treated Angel Reese like the second coming of Michael Jordan, are now dialing it back with 2 games at the United Center. And it's not for Reese, it's for Clark. Because unless the Indiana Fever are in town, Reese might as well be playing at a local community center. Even the Aces, with their glitz and trophies, are booking the T-Mobile Arena just to prepare for the Fever frenzy.
Caitlin Clark, the people's champion! Let's get it!
That's a deep one.
Bang!
Just announced that Caitlin Clark and the Fever will be playing 41 of 44 games this year on national TV. Hey, come in and watch the other girl, right? Right? Bang! Teams are moving their games with the Fever to NBA arenas so they can sell more tickets. How about that? Bang! Angel Reese attempted a 3 this deep. I think she might dislocate her shoulder.
Bang!
You want some butter with that bread? Butter. Butter.
Butter pecan! Bang!
It's honestly hilarious when you think about it. Just last season, these teams were all acting like Caitlin Clark was just another rookie. We don't need her, they boasted, chests puffed. The league is fine without her. And now, here we are. The same teams are practically begging for court space big enough to accommodate the Clark crowds. It's not just about rolling out the red carpet anymore. It's like tearing up the road and rebuilding it with gold bricks.
Atlanta Dream moved 1 game to the State Farm Arena. Chicago Sky moved 2 games to the United Center. Home of the Bulls, home of the Blackhawks. In Atlanta, by the way, that's the home of the Hawks. Connecticut Sun moved 1 game to TD Garden. Home of the NBA Celtics. That's going to look really freaking cool on TV.
Special shout out to Connecticut. This franchise doesn't even have an NBA arena nearby. So what do? They pack up and move the whole operation to Boston. Yep, new state, new zip code, new everything, just to make room for Caitlin Clark. That's not just special treatment, that's royalty-level hospitality. Can you imagine if Angel Reese tried to pull the same stunt? They'd probably laugh her all the way to some suburban middle school gym.
We're now at the stage where Caitlin Clark is probably going to be responsible. I'm not joking when I say this. For like games where she plays in are probably going to be responsible for like 30% of the attendance in the WNBA.
And it doesn't stop there. The Dallas Wings and Washington Mystics are also moving their Clark matchups to larger venues, complete with extra seating, luxury suites, and, let's face it, bigger profit margins. This isn't a coincidence, it's strategic planning. When Caitlin Clark rolls into town, it's not just a game, it's an economic boom. One ESPN analyst even dubbed her the WNBA's walking GDP boost. He meant it as a joke, but honestly, the numbers speak for themselves.
There are teams that are going to average 3,000 fans at games, but have 17,000 fans when Caitlin Clark shows up to town with the Fever.
Now, let's check in on the critics. The same ones who were screaming from the rooftops that Clark was overhyped have suddenly gone awfully quiet. Why? Because their arenas are packed, their jerseys are flying off the shelves, and their TV ratings are through the roof. All thanks to the player they once claimed didn't matter. And as for Angel Reese, she's still stewing over her not-so-unrivaled championship, watching Caitlin dominate the spotlight, the schedule, and the arenas.
The Phoenix Mercury play in the NBA arena. The Seattle Storm do. There are 13 WNBA teams, 7 already playing NBA arenas. The other 6 are moving their games to NBA arenas versus the Fever. You can't acknowledge that she is the needle mover. Yeah.
Before Caitlin Clark hit the WNBA, the average game barely drew 6,000 fans, about as many as you'd see at a high school pep rally. But Clark? She's effortlessly filling 20,000-seat arenas like it's no big deal. That's not just an increase, that's triple the usual turnout. These fans aren't there for the home team, they're showing up for her. WNBA execs are practically falling over themselves, openly admitting they'd give up home court advantage just to cash in on the Clark phenomenon. That's not hype. That's a walking ATM and sneakers.
I believe there's actually a debate on who was Rookie of the Year last year. Imagine being that delusional. Bang! People need to understand she saved this league. Powder, there's no TV deals, no ad sponsorships, heck, no shoe deals for you, Angel Reese, no McDonald's money. The league losing millions of dollars each year. She saved them from bankruptcy. Time to be grateful. Bang! 93% of her games on national TV. She's like that. Bang!
Let's talk numbers. WNBA attendance shot up by 48% last season, and unless your math is off, that increase has Caitlin Clark's name written all over it. Teams aren't just scheduling her games, they're building their entire season around her appearances. The Las Vegas Aces, the same team that snickers whenever Clark's name trends, have quietly moved multiple games to the T-Mobile Arena. Why? Because they know the Caitlin effect is the real MVP. All the eye rolls and cryptic tweets aside, even they can't deny she's the main attraction.
Now we've got some more information on the games and some perspective. Here we are. Indiana Fever put this out, man, just a few minutes ago. All eyes on us. 41 of our 44 games are on national television.
Now, here's where it gets wild. Caitlin Clark has secured 41 nationally televised games this season. That's not just more airtime than any other player. It's more than entire franchises have had in years. We're talking ESPN, ABC, CBS, NBA TV. Every network wants a piece of the Clark action. It's a broadcast feeding frenzy, and trust me, no one's settling for leftovers.
The most television games in franchise history, the most national television games in for a single team in WNBA history. How about that?
Last season, the Indiana Fever were basically an afterthought. They were the dusty book collecting cobwebs on the bottom shelf, overlooked and forgotten. But with Caitlin Clark in the mix, they've transformed into the league's golden child, now the star attraction in every primetime slot. The same team that struggled at the bottom of the standings is now the crown jewel of WNBA coverage. And you know that's stinging players like Angel Reese. For years, they assumed the throne was just waiting for them. But then Caitlin Clark shows up, shattering records, drawing massive ratings, and showing off a range that leaves everyone in the dust. Suddenly, it's her show, and the spotlight's all hers.
It's that time. Call this.
You guys, everyone wants me to cry today. No way. Oh.
Have you ever witnessed a basketball star tear up over someone else's triumph? Well, A'ja Wilson just did. The WNBA champion was seen in tears, but not for the reasons you'd expect. It's all in response to Caitlin Clark's emotional jersey retirement announcement.
I was like in tears, y'all.
You might be asking, what's all the fuss about? Don't players have their jerseys retired all the time? Well, not like this. Caitlin Clark's retirement ceremony is already setting records before it's even happened. Meanwhile, A'ja Wilson's fans are crying foul, suggesting Iowa orchestrated this to steal the spotlight. But what spotlight? Iowa likely didn't even know when South Carolina planned Wilson's ceremony, especially since she graduated nearly a decade ago. We've got the facts, the timeline, and fan reactions that tell a different story. Let's break down why Wilson's tears are flowing and how Clark is once again changing the game for women's basketball. February 2nd, 2025. Don't forget that date, because it's about to become legendary in women's basketball. 2 players, 2 jersey retirements, but only one is stealing the spotlight like a supernova. Caitlin Clark and A'ja Wilson, both revolutionizing women's basketball in their own ways, are set to have their jerseys retired on the same day. But that's where the comparison ends. Clark's ceremony at Iowa is generating a buzz that's completely overshadowing Wilson's South Carolina event.
Iowa taking on USC and Juju Watkins, nationally televised game, I believe. February 2nd, 2-2, so it's 22. Everything about it lines up.
Let's talk numbers because they're crazy. The cheapest ticket to see Clark's jersey rise to the rafters is over $700, which is the most expensive ticket in women's basketball history. For some perspective, this price tag is even steeper than the cheapest ticket to an NBA Finals game. And if you're aiming for the best seats in the house, you'd better have a thick wallet, with tickets going for over $8,000. Meanwhile, you can catch a seat at Wilson's ceremony for just $25. No, That's not a typo. We're talking about a price difference more than 28 times higher for Clark's event.
But that is a supply and demand thing, especially in today's day and age where there's no such thing as a sellout, right? Where you can go to any event you want as long as you're willing to pay for it because of the secondary ticket market.
Social media is blowing up with reactions. This isn't just about ticket prices. It's a game-changing moment for women's basketball. The demand we're seeing now was unimaginable just a few years ago. Clark's final home game shattered records with tickets reaching $450. But now that feels like pocket change compared to her retirement ceremony. What's unfolding here is Clark reshaping the entire landscape of women's basketball. She's not just rewriting the record books on the court, she's breaking barriers off it. Clark has become a cultural icon, drawing in fans who might have never tuned into a women's basketball game before.
I'm leading scorer in women's college basketball.
But wait, there's more. This story is far from over. What does Wilson and her team have to say about this, you may ask?
One of the sentiments that was expressed was, oh, it's the same day as A'ja Wilson's, how could you do? First of all, I remember them announcing A'ja Wilson was getting her jersey retired, but I didn't remember the date or anything. When the Clark news broke, I didn't think about A'ja Wilson. And again, as is the case with Caitlin Clark, this only is going to bring more attention to A'ja Wilson's jersey retirement.
As ticket prices for Clark's ceremony soared, another kind of inflation was taking over: online outrage. A'ja Wilson's fans aren't just upset, they're convinced a conspiracy is at play. But what if the real story is even more explosive than they think? The social media storm ignited with Wilson's supporters crying foul over the timing of Clark's jersey retirement. One fan didn't hold back, tweeting, "Why would y'all retire her jersey on the same day as A'ja Wilson? Are y'all stupid?" This sentiment echoed across social media, with Wilson's fan base feeling like their star was being overshadowed by the Clark phenomenon. But here's where it gets interesting. The timeline of these announcements tells a different story. Iowa didn't just pull Clark's jersey retirement out of thin air. They revealed their plans back on April 11th, 2024, right after the NCAA championship game.
And yes, Clark did get a standing ovation when Iowa's athletics director announced that the university will retire her number 22 jersey.
That number holds a lot of weight, far beyond my name, and I guess I'm just really grateful, and it'll be a special day when that happens for sure. Thank you. It's been very special, and this place will always be home to me.
South Carolina didn't unveil their plans for Wilson's jersey retirement until October 2024, 6 months later, folks. Wilson's fans are saying they're not Clark fans, so why should they care about Iowa stealing the spotlight with their announcement? Why can't both players be honored on the same day?
First of all, there's nothing wrong with two schools retiring respective jerseys on the same day. But secondly, if you wanted the focus to be on A'ja Wilson, she'll probably get more attention as the second, most recognized jersey retirement of that day than she would have if she had the stage all to herself on that.
So why are Wilson's fans so certain that Iowa is trying to steal South Carolina's thunder? It all boils down to the meteoric rise of Clark's popularity. Iowa's athletic director, Beth Gutz, put it bluntly, Clark's accomplishments have made a lasting impact on the university and on women's basketball. They weren't responding to Wilson's announcement. They were celebrating their own superstar. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Why did it take South Carolina so long to honor Wilson? One fan pointed out the obvious. Why did it take a decade for South Carolina to retire A'ja's number? How is that Iowa's problem? It's a fair question. Wilson graduated in 2018, yet it's taken until 2025 for her alma mater to retire her jersey. That's not on Iowa, that's on South Carolina.
And South Carolina waited years and years to retire A'ja's jersey.
The conspiracy theories are running wild. with some of Wilson's supporters convinced that Iowa deliberately picked this date to overshadow Aja's moment. But let's think this through. Iowa chose a date that aligns with a high-profile game against USC, featuring rising star Juju Watkins, which was already set to be nationally televised. Plus, Clark's jersey has been hanging in Carver Hawkeye Arena for months. Everyone knew it was coming. How could Iowa possibly know when Aja's retirement ceremony was planned? No one even knew about it until Clark made her announcement. This isn't about stealing anyone's spotlight. It's about maximizing exposure for women's basketball as a whole.
And then there was, Iowa is rushing this. They're rushing, or everything is rushed with Caitlin Clark. No, she just did things faster and garnered more attention and more notoriety and celebrity and celebration and popularity.
Here's what's hilarious. Some fans are actually asking for Wilson to move her date. One tweet put it bluntly, "Tell Aja to move her date." Then the face of the WNBA is retiring hers. Show some respect. It's a stark reminder of how quickly the landscape of women's basketball is evolving. So what's really happening here? Is this about disrespect? Or is it simply a changing of the guard in women's basketball? The facts don't back up the conspiracy theories. Iowa's plans were in place long before Wilson's announcement, and they're just capitalizing on Clark's massive popularity. But here's the twist. There might be more to Aja's reaction than just the jersey retirement itself. Is this truly about the ceremony, or could it be a deeper feeling of jealousy?